pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll have the minutes of the regular city commission meeting held January 17th, 2023. Motion by Hamry, Commissioner Hamry, seconded by Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards and proclamations. Years of service recognition for Mike Holden of the City Public Works. An appreciation for the years of service. Yeah, Michael Holden, Public Ways Senior Operator, has accomplished 10 years of service to the city of Devils Lake. And I will thank you for your dedication and your hard work. And I know it's been a rough winter, so it's been a few months late from receiving this, but you certainly earned this recognition. And thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you, Mayor.
Your reward is you must stay for the rest of the meeting.
No, run, Mike. Run.
All right, again.
I won't trip over your cord.
Okay, let's see. Back to where I'm at. Okay. Public hearing at 5:30 PM. There are none, so we'll move on. Visitors and delegations. We have the Law Enforcement Center on the agenda. Is that you, Jeff, that is presenting?
I'm just here to listen. I'm not sure. I think Peggy and Star were here to.
So, Mayor, Peggy and Star here, they're just here to give you an update as to what the LAC is working on, as well as request their quarterly usage fund. And then I know that we're going to have a conversation about the LAC and just some of the rent situation there, and we'll talk about that after their update, if that's okay with you. We have that on an agenda item later on.
All right,
So
so
if they would just want to come.
whoever's first, okay, Peggy and Star, okay.
Well, really not prepared to give you a whole lot. I really wasn't sure exactly what we were going to be discussing today. As normal, the first of the year, we send out the joint powers revenue requests that for the LEC and for 911. This year, because of previous years, the city has chosen to pay those quarterly, and we have no problem with that. However you want to move forward with it, it's not an issue for us. Those joint powers monies go mostly toward our personnel costs. As many of you are aware, the 911 $1.50 does not cover the need for 2 dispatchers on 24/7, 365 days a year. Those funds will not cover that. So that's what the majority of these funds go toward. Some of the funds do go toward equipment needs that we have for updating computers and other things within the dispatch center itself. Do you have any questions?
And just as a thought, did you ask them to come for the quarterly payment? Or
Yeah,
did
they just requested quarterly funds.
Oh,
And
okay.
I know we had a conversation of, we can give them it up front at the beginning of the year. We can do it quarterly. I got the understanding that you guys like quarterly. And so welcome here for a quarterly update. If there's anything operationally update you'd like to share.
Sure.
Otherwise,
One of the things to update you with is that we have been allowed to have 80 inmates in our jail now. Another update, we have hired a custodian, so that he started today. So that I know there's been discussion about custodial needs. So Other than that, our jail staff, they're fully staffed. Dispatch is down 1. The reentry center's down 1. Other than that,
With the increase in inmates, there
yes,
was a time frame to that. They come back and do another inspection.
they'll be back in 3 months.
And then from there, you can either stay at that or will that go up?
It could go either, yeah, we don't want it to go back, so
Yeah.
we want it to go up.
Yeah.
Well, that inspection we just completed, that was pretty positive, right?
Yes.
It doesn't, really won't go backwards from that, do you think? Is there any reason?
Something
Not
negative
unless
happens,
we
maybe.
have a whole bunch of people leave for some reason.
Oh, not, staffing's the
Yeah,
biggest.
stuffing's big.
Yes, a number of years of experience, that staff that it has. That plays into a big role as far as safety and security within the facility. So that's one of the big things that the state looks at, is those years of experience with that staff.
Yeah, I read the report. It seems pretty positive.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure they knew there was a time frame.
Yep. 3 months they'll be back.
Okay, and just as a FYI, we have a couple other entities that request quarterly funding, and we ask them to come in and give us a little brief report. I don't know if it was just a miscommunication on this one, but I'm hoping we don't have to ask you to come back every quarter. You'll send out the bill, we'll pay it, and then the soon-to-be new members of the LEC board can fill in as needed up here. Is that fine? Or
Yeah. Well, I think we did recommend that we have those, as Spencer said, we talked about it, that the other places that come in and give us a little report.
Yeah,
We don't see much.
but I don't know.
But they
if
don't
that
have any
was the
input.
expectation that they would come every quarter going forward? Did anybody, whatever, this was kind of new to me.
But
that
the rest of them don't have
Yeah.
commissioners sitting on
Yeah.
there that gotta
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah.
That's
so-
true. Yeah.
So should we just, I'm just trying to convey
I
the
mean,
thought,
we
you know.
can, we can come
If
quarterly.
I guess
if you want.
if you're cool with it, like I said, I didn't know, but if you know well in advance, you can maybe
Right.
throw a few numbers
Right.
out there or whatever you want. type
Yep.
of thing. I don't know what you guys think. I was just thinking it wasn't necessary, but if they
Well,
want to,
we've
you
got
want
two
to.
city councilmen on it, so we don't, it's a little different than some of the other ones too. So.
Okay. Your choice, you're welcome to come. I was just opening the door for you to
Yep.
not come if you want to.
I also think too, I know we have another item that pertains to the LEC down later on in the agenda too, so.
Sure,
Yeah,
It
that's,
felt like a good night to have him here.
it probably is.
okay,
That works.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for the update. We're now going to commission portfolios. Commissioner Pierce.
Chief Bennett?
We got our fishing derby wrapped up. That actually went off fairly well. We didn't have as many people on the ice because obviously January was not as cold as normal, so everybody was a little bit timid getting out in the cold. So, but all in all, it went off pretty good.
I just want to commend everybody at the fire department that did an amazing job. Mayor, good job out there. They announced on the radio that you were out there, so,
I'm staying with it.
but it was a great event. People that I talked to had a great time. Still going to talk to you about not them pulling my name out of the
Right,
barrel,
right.
but no. But it was a great time had by a lot of people, so I just wanted to commend them on another great job.
Yep, absolutely. I'll relay the message.
And I also, Mayor, just got a text that on the 8th will be the next Ramsey County Fair Board meeting, which I will attend, and I'll have
The 8th of this month?
yes,
Okay.
and I'll have a recap for you prior after that.
Okay,
Any questions? That's all I have.
thank you. Mr. Robbins.
Mike, engineering,
Nothing tonight, Commissioner, unless you have questions for me.
nothing. Streets,
Nothing on streets, we're doing some cleanup, and we did use the drone. I did talk to Chris over at the county. We were fortunate enough, they used the drone, they got some drone footage and with one of the cameras, they can calculate the volume of snow that's been piled up on our different snow deposit sites. And it's over 3,000 truckloads that have been hauled into those sites. A lot of snow's been hauled up. So it's kind of a nice tool for us to have to kind of gauge the amount of snow where it's been hauled to and things like that. So pretty nice footage that they can do for us. That's all I have for streets unless you have questions of me.
I don't have anything. I think they look great. They can't commend you enough.
Are you logging that data?
Yes. It's going into this 2022-23 snow folder.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Hatch?
Mike, anything for sanitation?
Nothing for sanitation, County Commissioner.
Rob?
The only thing that I'll have is I'll mention that typically I believe the Board of Equalization meeting in April has been done separate from a regular meeting. In talking with Spencer this year, we're looking at probably just doing it in conjunction with a regular meeting. So to try and save the amount of time that everyone's having to come in. So April 3rd is what we'll be targeting for that. That's all I've got.
Can we not do it special? It turns into a long. I mean, this
we
plus that.
We can try to keep the city commission agenda short, but I just, in the effort to try and, the regularly scheduled meetings just for constituents, I just thought it'd be nice to have it. But if you guys want to have a special meeting in the middle of the day, obviously your prerogative, but just trying to see if we can do it on a regularly scheduled meeting.
Is this the one where people just can come in and voice concerns? It's not the one where we go through all of the exempt status thing for the.
Yeah, it'll be the
It's just-
whole.
it's the whole gamut.
Yeah, the whole
Okay, all right,
gamut,
yeah. That one
Maybe
usually-
quick. I mean, if you guys want to come in multiple times, definitely a prerogative. But we're just thinking of holding it in conjunction with a regularly scheduled city commission meeting. We can run through quick. We can try to keep, we'll tell everyone to be a little quick on commission portfolio with that night.
How much does Mike have into it? Just engineer perspective. Okay.
We'll provide if you need it.
Yeah, okay. No, okay, sounds good. That's everything?
That's it?
Okay, Commissioner Hamry.
Mr. Grasscutter.
Nothing under utilities tonight. Commissioner, unless you have questions.
Unless anybody's got questions, that's it.
Okay. Chief,
Still out there writing parking tickets?
you are.
We are.
Wouldn't have known that.
Outside of that, no, everything's going well.
Okay, keep up the good work.
The
Thank you.
new body cameras.
We've had those for
Doing
about 2 months now. The B3000, it's a good camera. So yeah, those are an integral part of the team. So yeah,
I heard it announced on the radio that you guys got them, so I wanted to
yeah.
see how they were working
They're
for the
really
officers.
good. Yeah, they're really good. I mean, there's things that everything they're electronic, so there's sometimes that they don't work or they don't stay on the vest or something. There's some updates that need to be done, but they're good weapon, good thing to have. That's it. Thank you.
Good, you bet. Spencer,
Real quick, come March 6th, we have the new enrollment period for NADERP. So I remember the commission of past has rotated city commission or city insurance agents. It was by yearly, and I think they just recently switched to a 3-year rotation. We're up on the 3 years. So you might remember Jordan Herman from Bavera gave a briefing a few months ago. We'll be transitioning over to IRE per the memo that I have from Mr. Johnston here in my office and my desk. So they called, we're going to work on getting that all transitioned. So just a heads up on that. Opioid settlement case came in. Total amount that we received was $3,239.85. So I know that was kind of it's a small amount, but hey, we'll take anything. So we'll have a financial update for January at the next commission meeting. We'll get on a reoccurrence. So trying to give you guys the previous month's financial report at the second meeting of the month. So February's will be in the second meeting in February. We'll give you January and so on. So that's what we're working for. And then I'm going to work on getting our city, I've been working with Rob and the folks at the fire department here on trying to get some city IDs for our employees. Sometimes, they have to interact with the public, and if they don't wear an official uniform as a police officer or firefighter, sometimes it's hard to validate whether you're a city employee or not, especially you have to go into someone's home to fix a sewer leak or assess their property. So we're working on getting some city IDs for our employees. And then you'll remember a couple months ago, we transitioned $350,000 to the public building reserve fund. Just looking around at City Hall, we have a couple of desks that are broken, specifically in the auditing department. So we're going to purchase a few desks, probably for most of the employees in City Hall here. Should run short of 30,000, but want to just give you a heads up that we want to make that investment. And so you might see that at a future list of bills unless somebody has a major objection. And I think it goes to a broader conversation that I'd like to have with the commission as far as our facilities and moving forward, so we can create some actionable plans to invest in our public facilities. if that is desirable amongst the commission. Specifically, I think about the city council commission chambers, I think about city hall, and also outside the building or outside city hall at our other facilities. As we're always looking to make upgrades. We did transfer a little money out, and I think there is some infrastructure money that we have. And so just want to have a future conversation here, probably in 2023, to see if we can come up with an actual plan or a framework per se, and layer our priorities and see how we would like to do some of those things. Like I said, if the commission does find it desirable. So it's a conversation I'd like to have in 2023 as part of our broader facility master plan moving forward.
Question on those desks. So water, street, sanitation, fire, PD, they can all purchase desks and chairs out of that fund? They don't have to take it out of their own budget?
It's the city's money. It's in a separate account outside of the general fund. So, yeah, we can.
Okay, just want to make that,
We also have,
clear.
yeah, and we also have infrastructure funds as well. So we always want to be efficient, as frugal as we can, but we've got some that are falling apart, and some of them I wonder if they're from this century or not. I know Mike's not. I know Mike's isn't.
I like that old heavy desk.
Yeah.
It's old military style.
They last forever.
Steal it.
So
I had one of those at the fire hall.
So we're gonna look to invest in that, but then also too, we want to broaden our investment here as like I think about the commission chambers we have here. There are some tech enhancements that we can make, but if this isn't the current framework that we want for the city commission chambers, then we need to have a discussion on how much we really want to put into here before we could potentially expand, because we do have the land next to us, and we'll have to take a look at the numbers. And like I said, if it's desirable amongst the commission to pursue those things, we'd love to have that conversation.
There was discussion on that about a year or so ago. And some
It just
renovation.
getting kicked down the road.
Yeah.
I think it's waiting for somebody to say, this is what we need to do. Here's a plan. So tweak it or don't go with it or go with it.
You know, one thing I want to bring up is with desks and stuff like that, there is ergonomic grant money out there through WSI. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It's like a 75-25.
Okay.
But you have to have, you have to apply for the grant, have somebody, an ergonomic person come in and do an evaluation. You let them know what you want to do and then go from there.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
It's worth the money.
Yep. Especially if you're buying that many desks.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that everything?
Yep, that's all I got.
Anything from Jack that you're aware of that he would have?
No, just have that ordinance change down at the bottom, but we'll brief that then.
Okay. Well, thank you, Spencer. Just want to remind everybody, this week is Giving Hearts Day coming up February 9th. And so please do your part and donate. Giving Hearts, just have a reminder since it's real close.
If you go on their website, they'll give lists of all of the different organizations that they recommend.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of needy organizations out
And
there.
they match whatever is given, so. It's a great opportunity.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners? We'll move on. Go into old business, and our next item is the LEC, I believe we call it the past due rent. We have 2 years of I'm gonna turn it over to you, Dale.
You want me to try and explain it? Okay, so 2 years ago, the LEC changed the rent they were charging for the PD and the sheriff's department over at the space. It was a considerable increase. At the LEC meeting for budgeting purposes, Shane and I were on the board at the time. We approved that increase, brought it. It appeared at the budget meeting for the city that year. It was not well received. The tactic was taken that we're not going to pay the increase. We're just going to pay for the amount that we've been paying in the past. That went on for a year. We didn't pay the entire amount. That was probably in the neighborhood of $24,000, something like that. Move forward another year, the LEC put their budget together with that increase, the same as it was the year before. Due to calendar dates and stuff, the LEC has to get their budget done early in the year to get it to the city, so the city can approve it, to get it into their budget, and then to get it to the county. I think at that year, Rob tried to put himself on the agenda to come and explain the LEC's budget at that meeting. At that meeting, I think Linda you had to submit your request to Linda at the time. Linda did not allow him to be on the agenda for that meeting. Thus, it never got talked about. Thus, we approved, the LEC had to approve their budget to give to the city. We left that increase in the budget. The city got it. Well, we're not going to pay that increase. So we went 2 years without paying the full amount for the rent over at the LEC. Multiple conversations could be had about it. They've all been said before. No need to repeat it. But so at the LEC, at one of the meetings, we've talked about this over at the LEC on the LEC board. I brought up one time that I made a motion, let's just forgive it. I mean, it probably wasn't my spot, but I made a motion, and it pretty much got a hard no. We're not doing that. Other people are expected to pay their bills at the LEC. The city should have to pay their bills as well. At that time, Ed was the chairman, and I think the conversation went, let's just let this go for a little bit longer, because things were changing here, things were changing there. So now we're at where we're at right now. So that bill has always been there. It's always been on the books. Peggy's had to deal with it and show it as a debt that hasn't been paid. So at the last LEC meeting, it was talked about again, and it was stated, let's bring it back to the city, see where our thoughts are on paying that. It's a long story. If you lived it, it's even longer, but I don't know if I did a good job of explaining it. I think I did, but does anybody, you can understand it, Rob, type of thing? Or I think Shane, you understand how we got there. So basically, we received a bill from the LEC for about $48,000, I think it was, something like that. Somewhere in that neighborhood. I didn't open it, but
It's 48,965.52.
okay. All right, yeah, so that is what is past due from the city. So the discussion is, how do we want to handle it? What do we want to do?
Can we just clarify for the record that it's not actually rent, what it's about?
Yeah, yeah, it was termed rent. What did we come up with for our new building?
Maintenance.
Maintenance, yeah, I'd like to say, yeah, that was there were so many different conversations. Why should we pay rent on a building we own? And yada,
Just so
yada,
the
yada,
public
yeah.
knows that it's
Yeah.
not really
That's-
renting it.
It was termed rent strictly because everybody had rent in their line items already.
Yeah.
When it went into play. And I guess I've never quite understood the heartburn over it, considering past directors called it rent also.
Yeah.
So,
I just say, and also know we have a lot of people in the audience. If people are gonna speak, we just ask that you come to the podium and the microphone as we do with people listening on YouTube. So just want to make sure that they can hear. Thank you.
So I guess the question is, what do we feel like we need to do at this point? Do we pay it? Do we?
I paid for it once, twice to pay it.
To pay?
So
If everybody else has paid their bill, I mean, it just looks bad for the city if we don't pay our.
pretty much come down to heartburn from somebody and then not putting that faith or trust into the commissioners that were sitting on that board is pretty much the grasp on it.
I understand it's a hefty bill, but it's something we,
Wouldn't be happy if it was paid.
But there was a lot of discussion about disagreeing with how it got increased, if I'm not mistaken. when I
Yeah,
sat in
the
the
one
meeting.
that had a lot
There
of
was a-
disagreement used to be a director down there that actually had that in his line item, so.
There were some questions about whether or not it was, I mean, you were increasing, that was quite of an increase at the time. And wasn't budgeted for, I believe, if that was what the situation,
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and the mistake, possibly, if you want to put blame on anybody, Shane and I approved it at the LEC meeting, brought it back here, and we got the disapproval from the board at that time. And it just didn't get hammered out. I mean, it should have been done a long time ago. That's a lesson to be learned for anybody new that's gonna be sitting on that board over there. We didn't realize that we were gonna come back and get that much static. We just thought, hey, we're okay with this. We think we can float it. We approved it over there and we got here and it didn't fly. So, which is a pretty tough position to be in when you're trying to represent at a different location, hoping you know how everybody else feels about something.
Well, I was hoping they'd wipe it off the books because we inherited this, or at least I and Commissioner Pierce inherited this, and I have issues with it myself. I think that I don't feel responsible for that bill, and I personally would like to see it wrote off. But that's how I feel. We owe it to our citizens too. We have a lot of responsibility to the city residents, and just to hand over $50,000, we didn't develop that mess. And
I just think it doesn't set a good standard
well,
there myself.
it's not. I would
To
look for us to do that in the future. I would
wipe
not
it
do
off.
that, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what we've added out this year, 250,000 here.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna hand out money,
300,000 there.
we got a lot of places to hand it out,
Yeah, I believe it's an obligation that we owe and we should pay it. It's unfortunate situation just because everybody knew the players it should have been handled a year ago or more.
Yeah.
But just because the players that were involved, it was just getting kicked down the road. And it's not going to go away. It's not going to get forgotten about it. It's documented, it's well documented. So either we pay it or we don't.
It's just an unfortunate, but
I would make a motion that we pay it. The amount, I don't know, what is it, the 48,000?
48,965.52.
And wasn't there money, jail money left over in our budget that we didn't use
From last year?
from last year,
Yeah.
Joe?
I think we
So,
did not.
Yeah, we were significantly under budget due to the lower inmate count over at the jail throughout the year. So our bill last year for the fees that we normally pay were lower on the per inmate.
So how much was left?
I want to say I'll go back.
I'm sorry, we do have a motion on the floor before we can have
Oh, yeah.
discussion.
It is, yes, that is fair
I'll second
statement.
your motion.
Now further discussion.
I just say we pay it, get it off the books, get the jail. They've been doing a great job over there. We should just.
It makes it very uncomfortable when you're representing and you owe money type of thing.
It's not even that. It just makes me feel uncomfortable to.
Well, my thoughts were at the time, I was thinking, okay, if we don't use all the jail money, we have that money left over, that would take care of this, is what I thought.
It's gonna be-
Way back then.
It's gonna come to a pretty close wash, I think.
I mean, I understand, Mary, your point behind it. So don't think I'm just disagree to disagree. I really do understand your point as well. Excuse me. But I don't want to set the precedent of the city commission reneging on what money they got to pay and not paying the bill and wanting to wipe it clean. And
Well-
it just sets a
And I think
There was
precedent.
5 of them that had the reasons at the time.
I understand. And they left it to us to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's enough blame to go around for everybody.
yeah, and I don't want to.
I mean, we had 2 commissioners vote for it, so 2 of our commissioners already voted for it, so. I think we have the money that wasn't used to put people in lockup, so.
I think, can I say something? I think part of the reason too is that when Finley and his wife got let go, we had no custodial people
That's right.
at the jail. We haven't had that for 2 years. That was part of the hang up too, was that we had nobody cleaning our facility. So that was an argument that was put into it.
Well, I think there was also the budgeting, that it was above the budget at the time, or there was something about the budget too, that it was above the budget. I can't remember exactly.
I just.
I wasn't in on all the details of it.
Two years ago, everything went above the budget. Then it started getting broke down into,
It
per
came as
calls
a
and
big
this and
surprise.
that.
I mean, it was a,
well, everything kind of did. I mean, we used to fall under the county,
yeah.
and then we got broke out, and that was a big surprise, and
But sometimes when you develop a budget, you gotta stay within your budget, you know, and it's something, you don't have the option just to hand out a big increase and surprise everybody with it, so.
Is there any, it was discussed, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly at the last meeting, that there could be ways moving forward that we could discuss to take care of this for the future?
Or not have it as a rent, the rent as a line item?
Or, yeah, or as the county selling the building. to the
Oh,
county.
okay. Well, okay, so the joint powers agreement, yet to be determined. The LEC is trying to come up with a revised joint powers agreement for the parties that are involved, the 3 other counties, Ramsey County and the city. In order to do that, we want to get the city and the county's joint powers agreement updated between the buildings over there.
Mhm.
So right now, the city and the county own the facilities. There's been arguments in the past that the LEC board cannot make capital expenditures without the approval of the city and the county. I think that's where you're going.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, in my mind, the joint powers agreement between the city and the county going forward should be a very small document that basically says we will lease these properties to the LEC for as little as $1 a year. You are in charge of maintenance, any expenditures that you can afford, you take care of, type of thing. We don't have to approve them because that was always a roadblock anytime we tried to do something over there. We needed to put in some lighting as one example. That was like, well, you can't do that. Even though the state mandated it, it was one of their mandates, we needed to upgrade our lighting. We can't do it without our approval. We had all kinds of arguments about all kinds of stuff. So both those joint powers agreements are in the works of trying to get done, but I don't think it will change anything for the budgeting, circling back around to your question.
Okay.
Because I think the sheriff's department and the PD are still gonna be there. So it may still be a line item on the budget process. I've said before, we could take it out, but then you're gonna be short that $90,000 or whatever that's there. They're just gonna work that in on the backside. We're gonna pay for it by our shortfalls, and there's a formula for that. So either we pay for it under rent or we pay for it under our user fee. So it's really.
But in the future, we still can't have these surprises after, once you establish a budget, it has to be worked within.
we didn't have our budget established at that time.
But
Yeah, it was just, we just flat out refused not to do it on the city side. When the increase was there, we just refused not to pay
But
it.
I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of it moving forward, and make sure
Right,
we're.
and that's where I'm
We-
trying to say loud that
Certainly.
anybody that's gonna represent over there needs to be, kind of know a little bit of the history.
We need to get on track with things, sounds like good things are coming, we need to get on, and I'm hoping that we can progress into a situation where we're not running in the hole the entire time. We have to move ahead and help out here, but I'm just against taking care of this from a past bill. I'm just not for it because I'm representing the citizens and I feel it's not their debt right now. It's not our debt. It's established beforehand and I'm against it. That's how I feel. And I
Wait
won't
till you hear my
support
next pitch.
it. Okay.
Anyway, so we gotta vote, I guess.
Yep. Anything else? We'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hammer?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, next item, the growth fund. I'd like to have Brad. Okay, he's way ahead of me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I've handed out a kind of forward to Devil's Lake by the numbers. I guess I didn't really know I was supposed to do an update, so I'm glad I put together a one-pager so that I would have actually something to talk about. The 5 things that you see at the top of the page, the total number of projects, all of those are during the 4+ years I've been on the job. So a project could be as simple as a $5,000 facade loan, or it could be Kojak that was a $5, $6, $7 million project. And in those 4+ years, about 76 projects have been there. Now, I'm going to slip through it, so Dale, don't look ahead, Commissioner Robbins, I should say. I apologize. 11 of those projects were carryovers. We had some building projects that were, remember the multifamily? I think, most of you were in the room, I think, other than maybe Jason. The multifamily housing, Gleason's projects, LaFleur's and others. 11 of those kind of carried over, so that I've managed those while I've been there. Number of new projects during that 4+ years is about 65. And it's really about 4.5 years. I started in May of 18. I put down a number of those projects that were successful. And once again, that could be housing, small business revolving loan. We've had, multiple number of those, facade loans, PACE financing, that's primary sector, Bank of North Dakota, local bank, primary sector being, you got to have 75% of your budget from in-state North Dakota. Most of the Bank of North Dakota loans that are financing and helping companies grow are primary sector type loans. And then there are the flex PACE loans that are more retail and service oriented. You guys approved recently a Shep Chiropractic Clinic, a flex PACE loan for a chiropractic center. They were creating more jobs. When I first got hired, I was told concentrate entirely on primary sector. We don't want, flex PACE is competition amongst, business owners. So we really spent more time as a board, and, we've had 4 different turnovers of boards, and soon to be our 5th of 2-3 people leaving and 2-3 coming in. The average term is 4 years. They come aboard as secretary, move to a role of vice president, move a role of president, and then past president. We normally get 1 or 2 new board members a year, I should say. I said 4, it's really 1 or 2. The successful projects are successful in our region, not in another region, obviously. And then the not successful could be a project that was successful, like Fufeng in Grand Forks. I submitted paperwork to try to get that project here. Kind of lucky we didn't get it based on what's happened with the whole Chinese thing and everything else. But that was one that we lost, so to speak. And so those were projects that were not successful. And then of the projects that I have now, I've got about 17 that are dead. They just never happened. And I've got about 2 or 3 that are pending that some of you know about. Mayor Mo, you were in the Canadian company that is a potential manufacturer. A couple other things that are happening right now that I wanted to update you on is I've talked about the Regional Workforce Improvement Program, and that's about $1 million out of the state and out of Department of Commerce. We've got $400,000 coming to Region 3. Rob, you're on the Commissioner Hatch, you're on the North Central Planning Board. That's Region 3. Can you tell me the counties quick? Because I can never do it. Eddie, Ramsey.
Goes all the way north.
Towner,
Pierce.
Cavalier,
Yep,
Rowlett,
Cavalier.
Benson. Those are the counties. So we have about $400,000 that's going to go to childcare initiatives. And I'm going to talk about that real quick in a second. And we've also got $400,000 that goes towards, I've talked about it a couple of times, a mobile career exploration classroom. That's going to be a vehicle. We're going to go, a business representative from, it could be Kojak, a manager from Kojak or HR director will go with a job coach to Leeds and talk to the high school kids about the jobs and the careers that they have available. Not entry-level jobs, the skilled, the technical jobs that you really need to have some education. And there's a lot of programs that are out there to help fund it, but they have to come back and live and work in our community. And that's, we've talked about it, my 2020 program and the Career Builder program of the state. So the total RWIP is going to be close to $1 million. It'll be into our region. Commissioner Frith from the county, that mobile classroom, the county helped fund it and has been involved with it as well. So wanted to point out that the county has promoted, or not promoted, but has dedicated dollars to that project as well. Recently, before I talk about some of the other initiatives, recently I've been spending a lot of time with legislation. We've the career builders, you know, with having a legislature that every 2 years meets, it's difficult. But a lot of the laws are renewed every 2 years. So if you have funding and need to get continued funding for your programs, the career builder program, they've asked me now for two different bienniums, 2 different legislative sessions to testify on the program so that we get it redone. So I've been doing testifying as well. And I've got a couple of interesting projects that are on the books right now too that can't say a lot because they're confidential, but one is a potential theater in the AMC building. It's a going theater and on the Minnesota side that would like to do a similar concept here. And the other interesting project, and I haven't talked with you, Commissioner Hammer, yet, but I think of the others I have, is the Good Sam building. We've got an old nursing home that is basically empty. There's a child care center in it now, but I've talked with Eventide Funeral Homes and they've made an offer, and we're going to potentially have some seasonal farm labor type of housing. Farmers throughout the area have talked. I've gotten a couple of different phone calls and I've talked to others. There's just a lack of housing available for seasonal workers, and it's a potential situation where we've got a company that could come in and run it and provide seasonal housing for those laborers to the tune of 40 to 50 different individuals. Some of the other initiatives that I've listed here is we've got about 50 investors yearly give a total of about $17,000 to Forward Devils Lake. We've used those dollars to work in childcare. We give about 10 to 12K a year now to childcare centers. And we've also invested dollars to help build some childcare centers, and the additional dollars from the funding that we've got from RWIP to help the childcare centers. I want you to turn to page 2, the childcare aware. I'm sorry for the audience, but the way the rankings occur for counties in the state is they take the number of children that potentially could use childcare, okay? Then they take the number of slots and determine a percentage of coverage for the children. And in the case of Ramsey County, we're 3rd in the state for county. When I first got here, that was an area that I had worked on in our county in 2020, because they don't do the reporting every year. But when I first got here at 18, it was lower, and we're at 53% in 2020. I think we're number 1 in the state now. I don't have the numbers, but I know what we've added. We've added Joyful Beginnings, King's Quest. Some of the money that we're going to use is going to go into the old Felix or McJohn's building. How many of you know it and remember it as a restaurant? That is going to be a child care preschool for hopefully 70, 80 kids. The other child care center managers aren't happy with me because why? They don't know where they're going to get the workers. That's the problem we all have throughout the state. But we do have that coming aboard. Once again, Region 3, North Central Planning, we've worked real closely with them and Sandy Shively and her staff. Bring this message back to the board. We worked a lot on this project, but we're going to get more kids. So with those additional slots that were counted in 20, and if they were counted today, and I'm hoping that they'll do a 2020 update because it sounds like it's about every couple of things. I think we're going to be in the high 60s, potentially the low 70s, and that's number 1 in the state for childcare. We're effectively right now, if you look at it, we're effectively number 2 because a couple of the counties. One's got 70 kids. It's a real small county. I think you guys, when you look at it, you can see it. It's Billings County. Does anyone even know where Billings County is? I think they only have 57 licensed childcare slots in that town, where we have 953, and we're going to go over 1,000. So I just brought that into context. When we don't publicize a lot of things we do at Forward Devils Lake because a lot of those things are confidential. We can't talk about potential projects with bankers involved. The child care, we have talked about it. we're using the investor dollars that we do at the end of each year to give a $50 per child, what would you call incentive, to help them remunerate or bonus or do whatever they want to do. And ideally, they give it to their employees. You can look at some of the other things that are there as far as other initiatives. We do have new industrial park land purchase. We get 131 acres. If we get that home run project that someday comes along, that is being leased back to the prior owner. Larry Weed is renting that from us at this point. The growth fund, which some of the discussion, I know Commissioner Robbins, you wanted, the growth fund when I started was about 275,000. On an annual basis, we've averaged anywhere from $120,000 to $160,000 of payments for our flex PACE commitments and our PACE commitments. Multifamily housing. I'm in one of Gleason's townhomes on the north end. I rent there and have been there. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath comp. That was one time we get interest buy down to get those type of buildings built. I've tried to get developers to do more of those today, but the cost to build here and the rents they can get, it's difficult. I've not had luck, quite honestly. I've struck out. We're doing a few things. The homes are one thing, but we have that same problem. So those are all issues. Finally, I'll end it. Main Street Award for the update. We had a Main Street Award for the 2020 program. That's where we matched state money and convince a kid or graduating senior to be an automotive technician, a diesel technician, a nurse practitioner, any 2 to 3 year programs. A nurse practitioner probably wouldn't be in there. Dental hygienist, RN, those type of jobs. And last of all, we won the Governor's Choice Award for the Project of the Year in 2020, and that was for Kojak. And then this year, I was the Economic Development Director of the Year for urban cities. So for all the larger cities of 5,000 above, I was selected. Part of that was because of my involvement. I'm president-elect of the Economic Development Association in North Dakota for the coming year. And I've done a lot across our Northeast region to try to get our economic development groups working together. The plan, have you guys heard about the pyramid in Tacoma and Bit Zero coming in? That's going to be a boon for us. They're going to be living, a lot of them are going to be living here that are going to be working on that facilities because we're 50 miles away, 55 miles away. And that's one of those things that we've tried to work on a regional basis. That's a quick update. I put some of the relations, some of the associations and some of the groups that I've involved in at the bottom as well.
I think it's great. We got 2 potential empty buildings that might see some light again. That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
That would be super.
Hopefully those are in the one column,
Yeah.
not the failed
Not the
column.
yeah,
You know,
but-
that's at the end of the day. I mean, I've been a long time sales manager all along, and if I'd had the success rate I've had at some of the companies, I probably wouldn't be there. But I've also been involved with the ED&D on a statewide basis. We've had a lot of success for a size community our size, believe it or not. We're not going to get a home run every year. We're going to get it every 3 to 4 years. And even then, a home run is probably more like 20 employees, not 70. Although Kojak, when you look at their employee base and where they're at, they're over their projections for this time. So any questions, comments, anything at all? Commissioners? One last thing. It's Commissioner, I'm not going to not let it come up. We were asked, the city gave $250,000 for the new, I shouldn't say the Levers project. What do I call it, guys? Family Entertainment Center. The Family Entertainment Center. They gave $250,000. You as a city did. It did come to Forward Devils Lake. We talked about it. Our board members felt like since all we do is recommend it Forward Devils Lake back to you, that to ask us to give $250,000 is really asking the city to give it because it comes out of the growth fund. I don't know where the original 250 came from, Spencer.
The original 250 came out of money we transferred to our economic development fund, quality of life initiatives for that line item. So we didn't take that money out of the growth fund. We certainly can alter where the money comes from.
That
but-
first 250, I think you said economic development fund, it came out of the COVID money that we got.
Right.
So that the first 250 was federal money that we received because of COVID, that we put into a fund called Quality of Life. We put $350,000 into that. So then we said we would take 250 out of that 350 and use it for the family entertainment center. So that's where that first 250 came from.
Commissioner and I have had discussions. I mean, we've got money in the growth fund now. When I first got here, I was nervous. It's like, when are we going to get this built back up? Because we had $120,000, $140,000 going out for paying for multifamily housing, the place that I lived in. But we've grown because of the sales tax. We are a tourism destination.
And the growth fund is funded, I should have looked closer. We used to go as high as 8% a year out of the sales tax to put in the growth fund. Does anybody know what I was going to look at
I was looking at the other day.
I was
7 or 8.
I was thinking, that's where I think it is.
I want to say 7, yes.
So, yeah, so we put about $280,000 a year in from the sales tax into the growth fund, which comes from sales, obviously.
So it's not out of my, I've got a board meeting next Wednesday and I need some guidance. If the guidance is yes, let's see if we can to do that. I can get a recommendation, although you don't need the recommendation.
That was going to be part of my spiel, how I kind of maybe misstepped there.
And I don't think I'll have 7 board members that are going to be upset that you did it and we didn't. I mean, at the end of the day, it's helping the community. 4 years ago, I had a board that wouldn't even consider that. It was primary sector only. And now we have a board. What do we have to do to help be more, open and inviting to people to live, and we need to do more marketing. I've sat in front of the same group 3 years ago and wanted some marketing dollars for the community to live here, not for tourism to visit and sales tax dollars, but to live here. I got shot down then.
Didn't go very well.
It didn't go well. You were there, Dale.
Yeah.
So, we need to do more of that. We need to do more social media. We need to do more of those type of marketing things. And
Given our circumstances with the lack of manpower, we have to look at a smaller scale versus the larger scale. Like you say, we're not going to get multi-million-dollar businesses moving in large complexes.
We have got to stop the drain of our youth that are leaving. We've got more.
And you're
here
working on that.
Well, we are, the numbers aren't as good as I'd like. I'd love to say that we have 50 of the kids, but we haven't got 50.
We've got to incentivize people to want to try to establish a small business, maybe 2, 3 at a time here and there, and then multiply that. And man, we can gain success that way.
Or improve the quality of life, make people want to stay here.
Yes.
That's kind of
and
where I was going with my thought on it.
Yeah. And we've had a couple of, excuse me, Commissioner, we've had a couple of good discussions on that at our board. And I think we've got a board now. I talked today with Ryan Hansen to get Ryan on from education. We need more tie-in with the new chamber as we move forward. We got to really work probably more than we have with the chamber as well. So all of those things
We've got the county fair boards looking to expand, and that's going to help our community out also.
Yeah.
I know that some of the growth money would be great for, it seems to be more related to that, in my opinion.
We gave 250 already. I mean, do we want to keep putting all our eggs in one basket?
Okay, well, let me give my,
If we're looking at incentivizing or, quality of life things, there's a lot of quality of life things that can be done.
You got to multiply that.
Yeah.
And so, can I segue?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I maybe stepped in a little bit because I was trying to persuade Brad to persuade his board to approve funding for the project. And I apologize. Maybe we should, at some point, let's let them explain how it's going, just so you get an FYI. But so in my mind, I was thinking that the Forward Devils Lake was kind of the gatekeeper of that money. Misconceived on my end. Spencer tried to tell me 3 or 4 times, it's not Forward Devils Lake money, it's the city's money. It's in the city's pot of money. The city can do with it whatever they want. I even said, if we were short snow removal, $100,000 one year, we could probably take money out of the growth fund to offset some. Challenge me on it.
I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't advise
Yeah,
it.
but you could challenge me on it, but I think we
I would
can.
complain, Commissioner.
Go ahead and complain. I don't care. But
It wouldn't matter.
If we don't have snow removal, we don't have anybody coming here.
But
There you go. I guess I wouldn't complain.
But I think those monies are set aside and collected for the growth fund. That's what they're for. So in my mind, I thought, what better opportunity for Forward Devils Lake to get behind it and say, we recommend this because we realize that primary sector jobs aren't going as well as we'd like. We can all admit that. So this is something that I think would help improve the quality of life in our community. It just so happens, in my mind, it's the stars are aligning. In the past, we haven't had any projects like this to support at the city or the Forward Devils Lake level. Now we have something in front of us that we can get behind, try and help fund. It's within our means. We do have the money. We had COVID money. We put $250 of the COVID money into it. In my mind, I'd like to see $250 from the growth fund into it. Neither are touching we're not going to have to increase our property taxes. We're not going to have to increase anything. It just so happens that at the timing of it, we do have the money. And so that's why I'm pushing so hard, because it would help them tremendously. I'm sure they're not going to have to cut corners or overextend. I think in the future, they plan to make it bigger and better. I believe that's the mission. But this would just give it a nice boost to get them to where they need to be. Like say, and all this, I think you're doing a fine job. I've never had any issues with anything Forward Devils Lake, but I just saw that as a funding source where we could draw some money from, not overextend anybody and actually do something that we all talk about. I think everybody, when they're running for their positions, like, there's nothing to do for our youth in this town. We need to do something. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do something for the youth. And now here's the opportunity. And it's like, yeah, maybe we need to go here, or we got all kinds of other things. I think this is just one thing that we need to get behind, I think.
And I don't disagree. I'm 100% behind supporting that.
As much as we can. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
But I also agree that Brad's got some things working that I think is a theater potential. You know, I mean, how many times have we heard that we need a theater? And I know there's a theater going in there, but it's not going to be the same as, it's not going to be the same kind of theater as a regular theater, right? It's more associated with.
We recreate that.
So,
space.
well, that would be probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then there's a spot we could get behind.
And
and put
then
money
we,
into,
exactly,
you know,
and I think
the
that we have
theater
to
and-
make sure we have enough money set aside that.
And if
we can
we
accommodate
don't
that.
have enough money, isn't that a good problem to have?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure,
we'll get creative, we'll figure it out.
Right.
But at this time, we have something.
But
And
the thing
that's-
is, the thing is though, Dale, is, you know, if they do get into trouble and something does happen, we're not gonna let them fall. You know, we're gonna be there to help to keep this project going. So
I think that's where we're at right now, because I think they do need a little more help.
It won't hurt
I
them,
think.
without a doubt.
Well-
Should we give them can you give your spiel in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Just to hear it?
Is Kale or Justin, or which one is, okay.
Sorry, but-
I just want to go with your last statement is that, you know, they're in that spot where maybe they need a little help. No offense, but we have a banker that if you went to him with that, he would have turned you down faster than anything.
Let him give us a
I'm just
presentation.
saying.
Well, thanks, and I appreciate Commissioner Robbins just giving us the time here to have, or all you guys, I guess, to give us the time to just kind of give you an update. And that's kind of where I'm going here, is just more to give you an update, kind of where we're at with the project than really any official requests or anything. Just kind of let you know where we're at. I know there's that discussion of the additional dollars, but the project doesn't hinder on any additional funds. We are going to continue to move forward with the project, but obviously every dollar helps for the completion of the project. It helps to enhance the project. It helps for additional programming. Like Commissioner Robbins said, you know, as we progress, even down in the future, we want to continue to expand on this project as much as we can. And one thing I just want to say, because this project has been a really fun project, and it's really came together because of a collaboration of all the entities. You've had the county, we've had the city, and a lot of businesses that have came together. Really, it started with the Devils Lake City residents bringing that forward. We got the Devils Lake Park District on board, the Devils Lake City Commission. You guys have already committed, and we very much appreciate that. Ramsey County Commission also, and then between Levers Foods, and then another thing that we're working on is with Nodak Electric. They are basically their board approved to utilize what's called it's called the Red Leg. It's a rural economic development loan through USDA. So we can get up to $2 million of funding at 0% interest, which is a huge win for our project. Their board approved it, even with some apprehensions. Obviously, they, you know, don't have all the city area with some others, but that was really good. So that's going to be about $300,000 in savings. And then obviously with this lease that the Levers family is doing for the building over the course of 10 years, that's going to be about $1 million in savings. So really it takes all these people coming together. And I was looking this up the other day, and I just saw this Henry Ford quote that I thought was really good with this project. You know, coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. And I really feel that all these entities and groups are really making this project come forward. So really at this, just to kind of give you an update, we're almost towards the end of our design phase, and they will be providing us with construction documents probably by the end of this month. And within the next 2 months, we're hoping to start construction on the project. So we're really moving along, and really we hope to have a completion date near the end of 2023. So we really have a good facility for the community, something for next year, next winter, something that I think the community will be proud of. So with that, if you guys have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. So.
Would that possible gator coming in, would that throw a wrinkle in the construction plans at all?
No, but the nice thing was with the architects did this methodically just so that we could have, there's 4 different phases in the project, and the theater is actually phase 3. So it'll be the last phase of the project. So as this theater project hopefully comes together, and we have nothing wrong with that, because the cool thing is we can make like a multi-activity area. We've had different discussions with different uses where you could have different rooms for each month, you know, like where you maybe have the college or the high school, or could do like a escape room, or you know, over Christmas you could use that as a, you know, Christmas little wonderland, or Halloween could be haunted house. So there's a lot of different things we can utilize in those spaces. And so that's the cool thing too with the project, is we can reuse space that makes sense for whatever the community wants. So.
Mayor Mo, if there aren't any other questions for Mr. Stromer here, if I could just maybe wrap this in a bow for you, and then you guys can. You know, the city allocated funds from a place separate from the growth fund to help support $250,000 for a 10-year upfront sponsorship. Commissioner Robbins was pretty adamant that Forward Devils Lake should consider contributing to the project, and through multiple conversations between Commissioner Robbins, I believe yourself, the mayor, Forward Devils Lake, anything that Forward Devils Lake does is just recommending you to the city. So if there is a desire for quote unquote Forward Devils Lake to support the project via the growth fund, well, it's at the end of the day, it's the city's money, and it's the city's decision to make. And anything that you would do, I'm a big fan of obligating the funds to be allocated at a later date. And I think, in the past, as with the growth fund, it's always been primary sector, and that's where Forward Devils Lake is focused, as that was the lead that they had from the city commission. And over time, those leads and those priorities, it seems to have changed a little bit, right? And so I guess the discussion here is we already did in partnership 250 in partnership with the county for a total of 500 from the public entities. And Commissioner Robbins has brought forward the discussion of should we use some growth fund money to do that. And that's kind of where we're at right now, is need the guidance from the city commission. Can always take feedback and come up with a revised plan for you as well if you're not ready to make a decision tonight. But that's where we're at right now.
Well, we do have a growth fund committee, and I'd like to have that discussion before and have their recommendation before we did it. I mean, why have that board if we're not going to listen?
You're talking about the Forward
Devils Lake board.
Yep.
And give them a chance to visit with it, and then bring it back at the next meeting. If you guys would listen to that, I mean, otherwise we're kind of superseding them, and that's kind of
I think you guys did go to the Forward Devils Lake and present once, and they were basically told,
but
we're not totally. I won't quote it, but I think the thought was we could maybe support you with a contribution, 50,000, 10,000 over the next 5 years, something like that. Does that sound about right?
That was pretty right. But I think we can go back again and talk about it.
I'd love to see them on board, but I don't know if you got your gut tells you anything or not. Because I'm going to be in the same frame of mind next meeting. It doesn't matter what they say. I mean, to me, I've sat here for 10 years, and I'm not going to do it much longer, but I've always said I just want to be involved with something that I can say I helped out with that in a big way. everything I've done so far is streets, sewer, water, nothing for the community type of thing.
I don't think any of us is against what you're trying to accomplish, because we're all about having that center. And I am 100% behind it. So I've been all for it from the get-go, so it's not, and if Forward Devils Lake, I think give them a chance to.
That or you guys make a decision tonight. I don't think it's gonna hurt our boards.
Mr. Butt. None of us are against it. It's just, if we can use that 250,000 to help another quality of life program.
I'm all for taking 250 out of our COVID money and going for the county. I'm all for that, because I think the money's there. So
You're
we
just
don't
gonna
have-
spend it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That sounds
Okay.
foolish, but I mean, if the money's there, we don't have anything.
Well, things crop up too,
I mean, the thing is, we just fought over $48,000, and now we're just want to throw 250.
Well, and this is from a pool of money that is existing. It's not like we're burdening anybody taking it out of the general fund. I mean, it's something that's there.
And
it is for a good cause. I get that.
And
Without a doubt.
so just with the growth fund case, so the growth fund is partly there so that, we have the opportunity, if there are projects that we can help facilitate, whether they're interest buy downs or land purchases or help building renovations or what, we have that pool of money to pounce when opportunity strikes. And so there's $840,000 in it right now, and there's an opportunity cost to every allocation, right? So you spend money on one thing means it's not there for a later time, right? And so if it's the commission's view that this is something that we want to strike on in addition to what the city's already contributed, certainly can do that. And whether you want to do that bang all at one time or drawn out over the course of 5-10 years, really we can develop a plan administratively, or you can communicate what you want right now. But that's where we're at.
I'd like to see it sit for now. And then if you guys do run into those issues, or you do have a hiccup here or there, we've got that 250,000 sitting there that we can, give them to, maybe get over that little bump or whatever.
Well, I'll make a motion that we take $250,000 out of the growth fund to be appropriated, I should say, upon the project's gonna happen. And we will say it is a $25,000 a year donation for 10 years to be paid upfront. Similar to what our last one was. I mean, if we want to say what we're earmarking it for, we can say it's a $25,000 a year advertising donation for a term of 10 years.
From the growth fund.
From the growth fund. So if we wanted to pay it up front. So like I say, contingent on the project.
So that gives the growth fund time to recoup every year too, a little bit. So.
Well, I mean, I guess my thing was to be paid up front. We could say it was
You're saying
$5,000. Our obligation is consideration for 10 years of advertising at $25,000 a year paid up front.
So the previous one was an upfront 10-year sponsorship.
Right.
And I think
So we're basically the same thing.
Same as last time, except for it comes from the growth fund, not out of the COVID fund.
So that's not going to hurt our growth fund to hold. I mean, it's not taking it all out of there.
And we have another 8% of 400,000 we got, or not 8% of
our sales tax.
Our sales tax will be going back into the growth fund
this year.
Yeah, so they should be restocked. I shouldn't say the 8% doesn't come off the full 400 or 4 million. I don't think. Top of your head, Mike.
Roughly the quarter was going to get you guys right around
400,000.
Yeah.
So that was my motion. I'd just like to do it and have it come out of the growth fund.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Third time, is there a motion on the floor? Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Seconded by Commissioner Hatch. Okay, further discussion.
I'd like to see if we did do it 10 years at 25,000.
I was thinking the same thing.
Isn't that what you?
Yeah, that's
Without
what
paying
that's
what it is.
Without
You want to
paying
pay it
up
all
front.
upfront.
Without paying up front.
Without paying.
25,
25
next year,
every year.
25 every
25
year.
every year for 10
But
years.
he's saying pay the 250 up front is what he puts.
Oh, oh, I misunderstood that. Okay.
I'm sure that would be appreciated.
I
I'm
just-
sure, yeah, and you can figure it into your budget
Because then
as
they would
well.
know they have that 25,000 coming every year, plus what you're getting off the sales tax and.
Plus the other,
And
I-
one thing I was just gonna throw out there, just because we kind of had this conversation at their meeting, like, let's just say they sponsored, and anything is obviously appreciated. But let's say we could sponsor the meeting rooms, you know, we could give them with that sponsorship, free use of the meeting rooms when, you know, they're bringing either potential clients into town, when they're visiting with businesses, you know, we could make that part of the deal. So it really helps, you know, I mean, with recruitment, things like that, I mean, we'd be more than happy to put, you know, entertain.
I
some.
thought that's what your motion
Pay
was.
$25,000 for 10 years for renting a room.
Yeah, basically, okay, all right. Well, if you want me to rescind the
you-
I would
motion,
just,
You
I would
have
just,
to rescind your
Rob would
second.
have to.
I would,
And then would
I
you,
would just recommend voting no and then restarting. That's what I would recommend.
okay, if you want.
okay. Motion is as stated. Okay, we got that? Okay, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Opposed, same sign, or aye.
I
Okay, motion fails.
I will change my motion to reflect that we obligate $250,000 to the Park Boards project and a sum of $25,000 per year for 10 years to be taken out of the growth fund.
I'll second that.
We got a motion by Commissioner Robbins, second by Commissioner Hamry. Any further discussion? I'm 100% supportive of this project, so that's, makes it easy to kind of support it, but I want to make sure we have future monies also from
That makes
some
makes
good
sense-
ideas.
makes sense to me.
So it's affordable, so. Okay, I'm gonna call for a roll call.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Motion carries.
Well, we much appreciate it, and I was just gonna also make the comment, if you haven't yet, I appreciate all the updates you give on your Facebook page, and I went through a lot of those comments that the citizens had during that, and you can see the excitement within the community, and it's really fun to have a project that all these groups are getting behind, so we very much appreciate
And,
it.
you know, as much information as you can put out on social media.
Yep.
Every store I walk into, I'm bombarded by multiple people asking, so excited for this.
Yep.
So anything social media wise, they'll jump all over it.
As we are progressing now, we're having, every 2 weeks, we have a meeting with our architects and engineers. And somebody had this idea today to make sure we keep updating the community, because there's some people that said, well, this isn't gonna happen, but we're finally moving forward. And
Because a lot of them don't believe it's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Did it get voted? Is it still going?
Yeah.
Do you,
it's
can you
coming.
post your renderings at places so they can see some of them?
Yep, we can start doing that. Part of it is I always want to know what's going on, like even with the theater, you know, you post that and then you take it away and then something doesn't happen. We always get the whole thing.
You know,
So.
couple at the mall or a couple
Yep.
malls and stuff, so that
Yep.
people that are walking by, they can get to see that.
You can put it on the park board website too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So,
No,
well,
thank
great.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you,
Gail.
guys.
Thank you,
Very
Gail.
much.
Okay. You done for a while?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Is your blood pressure going down now?
No,
Okay.
actually surprisingly not bad.
Okay, consent agenda, I think, okay, consent agenda, there's nothing. New business, item on there is the domestic fowl ordinance. Okay, and Spencer?
Yeah, President Mo, members of the commission, there was a conversation at a past commission meeting regarding the city's chicken ordinance, what we're calling a domestic fowl formerly. And I think of city code as a framework kind of encompassing all of our mandates from North Dakota Century Code, as well as, being in a state like North Dakota with strong property rights where we've kind of determined a balance between, property ownership rights and kind of ordered peace throughout the community. And throughout the decades of the city of Devils Lake, we've arrived where we've arrived with our current ordinance as it pertains to chickens. And I had Rob. Rob was kind enough, he did a lot of research across the state of North Dakota on what ordinances there are regarding chickens, and that should be in your staff report. And I think the big thing from staff is just guidance from the commission is if this is something that the commission has an appetite to have a revised ordinance on chickens and domestic fowl. And if that is indeed the case, maybe some guidance on some things that you would like to see as part of that ordinance, whether it's permitting, adjacent property approval, or if it is we are comfortable with our current ordinances and we have no changes recommended. That is maybe just the one request staff has given these conversations. And out of these conversations, if it is to pursue something different, we'll work with the city attorney and have a conversation on first readings and second readings of ordinance. So really just want to get guidance from the commission as if this is something you want to take up and see some changes made, or if you're comfortable with the status quo. As I know, we had a constituent in here at a past meeting, and this was something you guys wanted to discuss further. I believe is the previous, they are here. So, and I don't know if further input from them is something you'd like to hear as well. So
I would like to see it move forward, to be more looked into, with the research that I've done and passed on to other board members. There is a positive side to this. In my eyes, children that would never even know what a chicken does or what a chicken looks like, even for 4-H members that don't live on the farm that would like to become part 4-H and all different things. They're not an issue with sickness. I spoke with a farmer who's been a farmer all his life. He said if salmonella and all that was a problem, every kid that works at or parents that own a farm would go to school and pass on these diseases. So I would like it to be seen where you would have to get permission from your neighbors. Something worked into that. Also permitting, and then we'd have to look at getting animal control involved as well for things if there's standards that we set are not being taken, as per the code, that he could address things of that nature with the owners. Certain types of chickens too, looking at, like I saw him getting out saying no guinea hens. They are loud and annoying as all hell.
They eat bugs. They're awesome.
Yeah, but they're loud.
They eat a lot of
Things of that nature.
Mayor Mo, I was going to give Rob an opportunity, if you're okay, for him just to go real quick over his staff reports from the high level, what we have in our code, what other cities have in their code, just so everybody has kind of a full picture of what tool sets there are out there if you guys do want to take this up.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so currently, as everyone knows, the city of Devils Lake has an ordinance that does not permit chickens. I reviewed 10 cities that were approximately the same size or larger throughout the state. Of the 10, only 3 have ordinances that allow chickens within the municipalities. The amendment that was presented emulated Fargo's code pretty much word for word. And they have by far the most detailed code for it. Grand Forks is very brief and not very detailed. And then Mandan's got probably right in the middle. One thing of note, like with Grand Forks, is originally, and Commissioner Pierce brought this up specific to getting consent. They originally had theirs set to where you had to get written consent from homeowners of a dwelling that was within 75 feet of the chicken coop. And then they changed it to where you had to get consent of a property owner that owned property within 65 feet of your property lines. So it drastically expanded the region that you had to get consent. And after that was passed in 21, they only had 1 permit issued in 2022. So it's something that you want to be aware of as you go through to make a determination on, how broad do you want to make this and how many people do you want to have involved in the process.
I see they have a fee of $100 a year for permit.
I believe that was in Mandan. Mandan has $100 for the first year and $50 for subsequent years.
I would like that if we were to move forward. I mean,
Grand Forks had no permit fee and Fargo's was $10 a year.
Nuisances.
So let's say somebody comes in, they get an initial permit, everything is fine. There's some neighbors have complaints and whatnot. you get your permit one year, you don't automatically get it again the next year. You have to
Correct.
have the same
You have to
protocol.
reapply.
And you
Right.
have to get signatures again. So that could be one simple way to police it. I mean, they don't have to go out and say, your neighbors are upset, you got to get rid of your chickens in June when you got your permit in January. But come the following January, you could get denied your permit and thus
Correct.
end of story. That'd make it easy on everybody by permitting.
Yeah, and I think setting up the particulars of how big the coop can be, how, where it's got to be placed. I mean, setting that standard that everybody would have to follow across the board. So one couldn't say, well, this one does it this way. Why didn't I do it? Why did I do it this way? Just set it and give the opportunity to do that. I don't see.
The Fargo ordinance looks pretty good. Pretty specific. I don't see a lot of people gonna have chickens, but you never know.
That's part of where my mind goes. It's not going to bother me, but does that justify that type of thing?
Right.
I feel that you live in the city, you don't, we've had ducks asked down of ducks, a pig, and where's it gonna go to next?
Well, and using the 4-H aspect is kind of, I mean, that's a little low, because for 4-H, you've got pigs, you've got cows. I mean, if we're gonna use that, then pretty soon we got cows in town, we got pigs in town, we've got,
To me, that's going just reaching for reasons not to.
well,
That's the way
Well,
I
there's
look at
always
it.
if I wanna
reasons
sell my
not to.
house, I don't want chickens next door, that's.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's
there
why
is concerns about that. I mean, your neighbors consent to it now. Okay, now the neighbor wants to sell his house and he's got a buyer. And then he finds out the next door neighbor's got chickens and that ruins the deal.
Well, he's gonna have to, that person's gonna have to.
That won't be in the
re-up.
that's not in here.
No, I'm just saying it's something we have to look at putting back.
I'm just
Right.
going through animal control stuff on the PD report here. I mean, I'm at 570 calls for him, plus you want him out doing parking tickets and this and that.
And then
Now you
nuisance
add this
falls
on.
into it, if they
Yeah.
don't clean up. I mean, not everybody takes care of them like others. I mean, there's a lot of people that are responsible, then you got those that are.
There's a lot of yards that you
But
hear from people that have dogs that don't take care of it.
And you're right. And I know that this $100 permit fee, that would be
Yeah,
kind of
I was gonna
an
say, dogs are a
incentive
lot
to take
louder.
care of it.
Louder than
I
chickens.
just don't want to get, I don't like the old adage, well, this group's been bad about it, so punish everybody else. If these people don't take care of their dogs, does that mean this group over here should be punished because these people aren't taking care of their dogs?
I don't see any old adage on people being bad with chickens and getting rid of it, because as far as I've been here, we haven't had an ordinance for them.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but you said people have dogs and don't
Well, no,
take care of
just
them.
cleaning up their yards and the smells and,
Throwing the feces in the alley.
yep.
A lot of complaints I've got to deal with on that.
The thing is if you really want to see what happens, you gotta go on the nuisance calls or right around with Sam to see everything you're dealing with, to add something on top for them. We gotta look out for our citizens, plus we also gotta look out for our workers here too.
So that's the wishes.
I mean, if this is something that you really want to wish for, I'd like to see it, somebody take it by the horns and actually make up what they want. So we've got, 3 ordinances there? And they've all got good and bad in them.
I think they should be most strict and add to what we want to add.
President, well, members of the commission, I think maybe a course of action moving forward that I could recommend to you is, number one, tonight, give us maybe a formal action if you want us to pursue an ordinance. If you guys do, if there is a consensus of the commission that wants us to pursue an ordinance, we can, I'll work with Mr. Johnson over there, the city attorney, as well as probably the police chief over there, and probably a nuisance officer and the fire chief as well. Try to give you our best recommendation if that is something that the commission wants to see. and then we can go from there. But first, the first thing is, do you want to see an ordinance or do you not?
Well, I make a motion to pursue the ordinance to be looked at and the vote to be done at a later date for whether we want to move forward at all with it.
We have a motion to pursue the ordinance change. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hatch. Is there any further discussion?
Well, Mayor, you were sitting in Chief Bennett's spot back when they did the pit bulls. And they did a community at large group for that.
Mhm. Yep.
Is that something we should look at here, getting community members?
I think when you do this process, yeah, we should include, I would agree with that. You know, some outside residents, you know. And I would guess that you would want to be one of the members on the community at large, since you have an interest in it. V, is that right?
That seemed to work pretty good for the pit bulls.
It did. I mean, it was a kind of an at-large group, and it was helpful. And then one commissioner could be assigned to that group. Okay, so Commissioner Pierce, you've been assigned to that
It's fine with me. man.
that board. And then V, would you be welcome to sit on that committee to research the ordinance and develop a good ordinance?
We don't want to, I don't think we want to establish a formal committee, just a formal, we'll get, we'll create a kind of an informal
Informal
group
committee.
just to have a conversation. We'll engage some community members that hold positions that would lead one to believe they know something about the subject matter. And if that's what you guys like.
Why do we need that? Let's use a community. We don't need an informal group that you make every time we do something.
If it is, okay, I know the city
It's a
attorney.
community.
Yep, if it is
Well,
the city.
city attorney
if
needs
it
to
is
be
the
part of
city, if the city attorney was sitting here, you probably would say that if you establish a formal.
Why don't
committee-
I establish the committee? Would that be okay?
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Would that be okay?
If the city attorney, I think.
If
he
the
would
city
probably say-
attorney
If he
will-
was here, I would think that, just because I've had a number of these good discussion, if the city commission establishes a committee, it will be open to public records. Just want you to know that
Correct.
in advance.
Absolutely.
in advance.
Absolutely.
What we want.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you're aware. Yeah.
Right.
Transparency.
Maybe a seven member
Yeah, that would work.
to make the recommendation and ordinance. To
And this would
develop
all
the
be,
ordinance.
this would all be after the ordinance has been drafted or in the same
Well, I
time?
think this is, first of all, we got to approve moving forward, and then that committee needs to be established to
Okay.
draft that ordinance to bring forward to us. And then we could recommend whether or not to approve it or this.
Well, yeah, it's the motion that I made.
Does that make sense?
Move with the ordinance.
So we have to vote on moving forward first. Okay. I think we should do a roll call.
Can we remind what the motion on the floor? is?
Motion would be for you to move forward with pursuing the ordinance.
Roll call.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hammer?
Aye.
President Mo?
I am not in favor. Motion carries.
So now we
Okay.
make a
Now,
motion for,
to develop a committee to build the ordinance.
We'll have something for you at the next commission meeting.
Okay, yeah, we'll sit down, Spencer, and I'll, but Commissioner Pierce, you'll be part of it, and our attorney, and V, would you be part of it? Okay, and then we'll get some other members at large.
Works for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Next item is first reading special event alcohol permit ordinance, and that will be Spencer.
President Mo, members of the commission, this is just an ordinance recommended by the city attorney to put us in compliance with North Dakota Century Code as it pertains to our special event alcohol permit. There's a past resolution by the city commission to have these permits approved administratively. And the city attorney has drafted it such that that resolution will be maintained in effect, so we could still approve it administratively. So recommend it's first reading, so just recommend that there be a reading on it. If there's any discussions or any changes you'd like to see, I can make sure to relay that to them. But I think it's just a code update for us.
Okay. That's it. No action necessary. We'll move on. Authorization of purchase of treasury bonds and certificates of deposit. Of course, now it changed.
President Moe, members of the commission, one of the conversations we've had is with the new environment in regards to interest rates. There's some opportunity to earn a significant return on investment. And the city has $3.4 million in a water source replacement fund, which is kind of a strategic fund that serves a really long-term purpose. So that, and Mike inform me, so that we have multiple generations that are investing in the city's water source, so that if we do have to change it, it's not one generation of citizens that has to foot the bill for it. And so it's a fund that has 3.4 million in it, and seeking authorization to invest in some treasury bonds and certificates of deposits with Edward Jones, who we have our equipment reserve with. And we would like to, we had a conversation, we'd like to direct these interest earnings towards the sewer department's reserve fund, as they have a significant equipment upgrade in their sewer truck that they need to make. I think we're estimating in the neighborhood of over $600,000. And if you look, water, wastewater, and sewer, they're all going to utilize that truck, and just figured sewers was the one, I believe I attached the rough estimate on everyone's equipment reserves. And sewers was the lowest, so figured at least for the time being, we can direct those earnings, which I'm estimating to be at, roughly $130,000 a year towards their equipment reserve. And seeking both treasury bonds and certificates of deposit, as there is an opportunity to take advantage of both in the marketplace, in talking with Mr. Rulli over at Edward Jones. So I would just recommend that authorization and its direction towards the sewer reserve, equipment reserve fund.
Okay.
I'll make a motion on that to direct to sewer and wastewater only.
The direction would,
off of that.
the direction would be given by the city commission. So like previously, it was police and fires at a certain percentage. If you direct it towards sewers, it's not going to go anywhere else, Commissioner. I promise you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any discussion, any further?
And I think also too, it's a water source replacement. So the water, wastewater, and sewer department, that's really a strategic place to put it, is that's what that pot of money is for. So it's kind of a happy marriage there.
Okay, I think we'll do a roll call on this, please.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
President Moe?
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, leave carryover request. Call him Mike.
The memo in the commission packet discusses the leave carryover for a couple of street department employees. Typically, I would be recommending this, but based on the amount of snowfall that we've had and the county declaring an emergency declaration, it puts us in a new level. And there was a lot of work that was required in December. Many times, city employees have a maximum amount of vacation near the end of the year, and they end up using it near the end of the year in December. In this particular case, they couldn't do that because their expertise was needed in clearing snow. Not a lot of hours that we're talking about here, but ask that we can move their vacation over to comp time as outlined in the memo. And then we would follow the guidance in the policy manual related to comp time.
Make a motion to roll over their year end to comp time.
I'll second it for
Got a
discussion.
motion by Commissioner Pierce and second by Commissioner Hamry. Okay, any?
The question I got on it, it has to be used and reduced to 32 hours or less by the end of this month.
Correct.
So February.
Correct. Which is, so one doesn't have to use any because he can carry over the 32. The other one has to use 14 hours to get it down to 32.
Okay.
So they don't have to use all of it.
Okay.
But it follows guidance in our policy manual from that point. It's just not outlined in our manual where they can carry over the hours from last year.
And I think it's also important to note, as in the manual, the Ramsey County issued the snow removal emergency. So I think that signals it's been an extraordinary winter. And so certainly worth, I think, merit to consider this given that factor.
The amount of time they gave is a
City,
small
yeah.
little thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This is a time for citizen comment. Did anybody sign up for anything?
I just want to say thank you for sticking around the whole meeting. It doesn't happen very often.
Patience is a virtue.
Okay.
Question I had, Mayor, what was, request for the police department funds, is that coming as part of this? You said the police department, or the LEC was asking for their funds?
Yeah, it goes out with the list of bills.
So I want to make sure, okay.
The
Thank
one they got approved it tonight? Because
It
I
might
signed
be-
the
it
other
might
one
be-
earlier.
It might be approved at the next commission meeting technically, but just
Okay.
authorizing the
Yeah.
release of funds. So we'll,
I just want to make sure we didn't.
yeah, we'll make, and also, you know, we know what we have budgeted for the year. And so take it forth and we'll make sure they get the money.
Okay, if no more sit on informational items, the annual police department report for 2022 is out. They didn't do much this year.
Just 13,000 calls.
You know, the nice part is the fire department prints theirs off and puts it in nice little pink points.
Well, I
That'll
know.
be coming up soon.
So anybody have any questions regarding that? If not, do we have a motion to pay the list of bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hatch. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hatch.
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
Commissioner Henry.
Aye.
President Mo.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming and venting your concerns, and appreciate your time.
We don't want to get crazy.
Oh, yeah.